If I say pisco, you say sour. Not all spirits have a cocktail that they are completely synonymous with, but chances are that if you have a bottle of pisco at home, then you're most likely using it in a pisco sour. So let's make a really good classic one and then also have a look at a little twist that's on the menu at Bomba to show how you can use it as a template for all sorts of fun experimentation. The history of pisco itself as a spirit is really long and interesting, and I'll definitely be going into it in another video. But the pisco sour was purportedly invented by a bartender named Victor Morris, who was American but moved to Peru and substituted the local spirit into a whiskey sour around the 1920s. There is though another earlier recipe which has also been unearthed, so perhaps Mr. Morris wasn't the only one to have this bright idea, but unfortunately for Chileans who also like to claim this drink, it was also from Peru in that other recipe as well. Unlike a whiskey sour, the pisco sour is usually served up, so not on the rocks or on ice, and the traditional garnish is 3 dots of bitters and you can sort of swirl them to make it look like hearts. In South America they'll actually often be blended and that's delicious as well. Just make sure that you add a little bit more sugar if you're doing it that way, because all frozen drinks need a bit more sweetness, and there is more on that here if you're interested. Pisco is a spirit made from grapes, so technically a brandy. Both Peru and Chile make pisco, but outside of South America you are more likely to find Peruvian pisco. They just export a bit more, and they also have stricter rules around production methods. So funnily enough, in Chile, Peruvian pisco can actually be labelled pisco, and then vice versa with Chilean pisco in Peru, which is a level of pettiness that you really have to admire. Now in Peru, pisco is not allowed to be aged in wood, and that means that the fruit character really shines through, which is what carries this cocktail. It can be made from 8 different grape varietals, which will give the spirit, the kind of resultant spirit, different qualities. But the most common one is quebranta, which is a non-aromatic grape variety. It can also only be distilled once and nothing can be added to it, not even water. So what comes off the still is what you get, which is pretty cool and makes tasting piscos made from different varietals or even made in different regions really exciting. For cocktails, a good quality quebranta will work perfectly, and it should give you a nice fruitiness with plenty of texture and spice and some really lovely floral notes. I'm using Macho Pisco because, you know, love the name, but Bar Sol or Waka are available pretty widely and also really great. So this one does have egg white in it. That's how you get that nice fluffy head, which kind of gives it that iconic look that you can put the bitters on top of. You can obviously do it without or with aquafaba or something like that if you would like, but we're gonna separate our egg white first to get started. You just want about 15 mils of the egg white in there. Then we're gonna go 25 mils lime, 60 mils of the all-important pisco. Now a lot of recipes will go for a full 30 mils or 1 ounce of lime juice, and obviously if you like things just quite tart, then you can definitely do that. I just really want the pisco to be, you know, the real focus and star of the show here, so I just find bringing literally just that 5 mils less of lime juice just balances it a little bit nicer for me, but obviously feel free to have a play around with that. And just 15 mils or half an ounce of sugar syrup, and then this one again is not traditional, but I like to do a little dash of orange bitters. I just find that it really helps to kind of lift all of those floral notes that you want to get through from the pisco, and using orange bitters rather than like an Angostura or something in the drink means that you still get the really nice kind of fresh limey color of it coming through. It doesn't change it, and then you'll still have your Angostura on the top, and then that's kind of the aromatics that you'll get on the nose when you lift it up to take your first sip. So we're gonna do a little dry shake here. So you just wanna pop your shaker tins together. This one is a little bit more dangerous than when you have ice in there, because you are kind of having to hold the tins together. The fact that the tins are getting cold with the ice, you know, isn't keeping it together for you. So just make sure you've got a firm grip on that and give it a nice hard shake. And that just emulsifies all your eggs, so you can see already getting nice and fluffy here. Then we'll add some ice and shake again. so like zingy and fresh. Then we're just gonna get our little Angostura bitters and do a few little drops on the top. I do tend to find it easier for doing this to do it out of a little bitters dropper rather than kind of straight out of the bottle itself. It just makes it a little bit easier to control. And then you can grab like a little cocktail skewer or your knife and just sort of pull through there so that it makes a little heart shape. And there we have Pisco Sour. Should probably have a little try of it for you. Good, getting all that Angostura on the nose means that, yeah, you're kind of almost expecting something a little bit not quite as fresh as what it is, because it does have some more kind of woody spices and yeah, just like a bit more intensity. And then the drink itself is so refreshing, yeah, really like bright and fresh. The Pisco is just really, really present. You get really good texture as well. Delicious. The really simple template of this cocktail, but then also the complexity of the Pisco makes it ideal to experiment layering different flavors in. In Peru, they do have a native passion fruit called a maracuya. Hopefully said that right. So that's a really common twist that you find there, and can be a good option for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere looking for something a bit more tropical heading into summer. Here in Melbourne, the weather's pretty autumnal, so at Bomba we have this little red currant and pomegranate twist, which was invented by my colleague Jordan Alt, or Little Geordie as he is affectionately known, despite being about 6'3", but it's just really pretty and really delicious. So for this one, we're gonna go in with 45 mils of Pisco, 20 mils of little red currant liqueur. Now I know this probably isn't going to be that easy to find. You could definitely do a red currant syrup instead, and then you can make some artist specials as well. Or another kind of berry liqueur would work nicely too. You definitely want something that's still got a little bit of tartness to it. 15 mils of grenadine. You can absolutely use a good quality kind of shop bought one for the grenadine, but we do make this in-house, so using fresh pomegranates, and that just lets us play around with the flavor a little bit. Most grenadines are made with a couple of dashes of orange blossom water in there, and we actually do this with rose blossom water, just to kind of lean into those kind of like sweeter berry notes as well. So I'll drop the recipe for that below if you're interested. And then 15 mils of manzanilla. So nice dry sherry, just to kind of dry it all out there. And then last but not least, we use lemon juice in this one rather than the lime. Just a little bit softer, so 20 mils of that. And some egg white, about 15 mils again. Do your little dry shake. This one's obviously a really pretty pink colour, which is quite nice. Now, in keeping with the pink theme, we're going to do Peychaud's rather than Angostura on this one, so just quite a few little dots. So that one will be like a bit more of a spiral. And then last but not least, a few little pink peppercorns in the middle there. So these grow quite widely in Australia, and they make a really cute little garnish and just have like quite a nice sweet spice. Obviously, like regular peppercorns, you don't really want to actually be chewing on them. They're more just for aesthetics and a little bit of aroma. So there we have your Grosella Sour. It's really nice because I think obviously a lot of those more kind of like pink and citrusy drinks, when you use gin and things like that, they can tip over into being like quite floral and almost a little bit sweet, whereas like, you know, Pisco is got a bit of grunt to it. Like it's definitely still got a bit of kind of earthiness and like almost like a malty kind of flavor, as well as those more fruity and floral notes. So it really grounds it, and yeah, it just makes it, I think, a very, very delicious kind of, yeah, little bit of a autumn twist on a classic. Good job, Geordie. This is my favorite kind of cocktail experimentation. So you have sort of a tried and true base, so you can't go too far wrong. And then you just layer in other flavors. So, you know, introducing the sweet in ways other than just a sugar syrup. It's the basis of my book, Strong, Sweet and Bitter. So if that's also how your mind works, then you should definitely check it out, because it can help you figure out what things to substitute and how to match flavors and so on. I'd love to hear if any of you have played around with some fun twists, so please do let me know in the comments below. Pisco cocktails, so now you know.